Oh, how's it? Good morning. I don't know if there's anybody out there, but I really look forward to sharing some information today. And, I'm really short of breath today. Yesterday was the same. And, I guess I want to start off by saying I never have any plan about what I'm going to say. But if you wonder why I feel comfortable in front of the camera and stuff, is I actually was trained. What's up, Nathan? Was trained to do this when I was in pharmaceuticals. I spent all day in front of a camera talking to doctors all over the country about cardiovascular medication, primarily, sometimes respiratory. But I just wanted to say that I think Facebook, even though it has a bad rap at times and we all hate it sometimes, I think we can help to make it a good community, because that's what this is, providing all of us an opportunity to come together and share ideas and lean on each other and become a ohana. Because I'll be honest, I was just isolated and I didn't want anything to do with anybody, Facebook, nothing. But anyways, part of my journey, I decided that I would do these video logs. And yesterday and today was really rough. Today, when you have cardiovascular disease, or in my case, I don't have cardiovascular disease, I have a heart enlargement, which is different. You get really short of breath. And this morning, I was in my room sleeping, and I was doing this kind of breathing, like, and I realized, over the years, I actually trained myself to breathe a certain way because I was a respiratory therapist. And I always tell people I have tricks. Dan Hakala, bro. See, your brother knows there are tricks that I can teach you today to help you in life. And this is more of a science thing today. Tomorrow's Sunday. I probably could talk a little bit about. By the way, in my background, I do have used to be like a Bible teacher and a kind of pastor. So, that I have that in me, and I'll be sharing some of that. If you get questions, let me know. But I wanted to address a couple of questions because there was a couple guys had questions about stuff like hyperbaric chamber, yeah. And just to reiterate a point, that I have a background as a respiratory therapist. See, this is my class. Yeah, 1994. There's Skinny Sean over there at a respiratory conference, and this was me leaving Castle back in the day with my good friend Kent Terada. So that's when I was saving lives and working in ICU, and I loved it. And I would run around the hospital looking for somebody who needed help, and people would stop me in the halls and go, Sean, your check has been sitting in human resources for 2 weeks. And I go, oh yeah, I get paid, yeah. So I was so happy to be there to help save people's lives that I forgot that there was pay involved. But yeah, to reiterate what's going on with me right now, is this is a normal chest x-ray. Yeah, you see the size of the heart here is supposed to be, as I mentioned previously, about half of the chest cavity, not even half, so it'd be less than half. And that's another normal one. See in the back, you can see my neighborhood. That's normal. And then the problem is, this one, oh, we go the wrong way, I might see something nasty. Okay, I don't know, get bad pictures, not, probably not. And this one is mine. See, that's an enlarged heart. If you can see how big that is, this whole thing is my heart. That whole thing. Yeah, you see copia in the background. That whole thing is the heart. So it's too big. It doesn't pump well. That's why I get short of breath. And what happens, as I mentioned before, the valves start spreading apart and they don't close and open very well. So the symptoms get really bad. So I'll talk about two science things today, yeah? This is how I help myself. There's something called inverse inspiration expiration rate. Yeah, when you breathe, it's usually a count of one in and then two out. Right? One in, two out. That's normal. Okay. So what happens here? Now go to this little picture I drew. I'm not a good artist. Yeah, I do a lot of things good, but not that. This is an alveoli. Okay, that little ball thing right here. At that level, it's microscopic, and there's blood exchange, blood gas happening right there. Exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen into your bloodstream. And then, so one little known fact is, when you wake up in the morning and you're tired, yeah, you think you don't have enough oxygen. And oxygen can make you pass out if you don't have enough. But one thing people don't realize, unless you study these blood gas things, gases inside blood, like carbon dioxide, is that elevated carbon dioxide levels have the same effect as like morphine. They call it a narcotic effect. So if you wake up and you feel groggy like you're on morphine or narcotics, chances are that's because you have elevated CO2, carbon dioxide levels. So that has the same effect. Patients would come into the ER all the time and they would be like knocked out. So we had to figure out, are they on narcotics or is this carbon dioxide? So they would give Narcan. Yeah, and then they would not wake them up. Then we have to bag this person to get all the carbon dioxide out of their blood. And it's something you can do, and it's something that I do. Yeah. So this is what they call area under the curve. Yeah, right here. This is the time the oxygen goes into your body and carbon dioxide comes out. That's normal. So what I'm going to show you is what we use to treat the most difficult dying patients in ICU. They call it inverse IE ratio. Meaning, that you hear me out of breath right now, right? Meaning that when you take a breath now, or when we control the respiration, it is a longer inspiration like this. Longer, and then exhale shorter. And you can use this today, I promise you. If you have any shortness of breath, or if you're playing tennis, or if you're trying to recover while you're surfing, try this, because this is what I do to control my symptoms all the time. And a lot of times I'm in major distress. I have to put the mask on and everything. And this is one of the respiratory therapy tricks that I use. It's called inverse IE ratio. Yeah? And it just making the time that you inspire and hold it longer than the expiratory phase, yeah? Which is, I'm gonna try to, I'm really bad at doing this mirror image right now for some reason, but this is a mirror image. Here, look, I'll do it like this. Say, this is your expiration, that's inspiration. So if you make this longer, there's more of this, which is known as area under the curve. Yeah, if you guys remember geometry, not yet. Whew, sorry, out of breath. Oxygen had got more time to get into your bloodstream, and more carbon dioxide have time to come out. So this is what they call, this is how we save patients who, I'll do it right now. Do it like 3 times. But you want to purse lip breathe. Like 3 and 4 breaths. And you hold it open, but you are not bearing down, because there's a lot of factors involved with that. We go into metabolic testing. Your body has something called demand. Yeah, the more demand it has on it, the more need it has for oxygen, the more creation of carbon dioxide. So you have to not utilize those intercostal muscles. That's why when you get short of breath, it's a spiral down, because you're going, and you're increasing your work of breathing, your demand for oxygen, you're starving yourself, and the oxygen is just going up and down in your windpipe. It's not getting into the alveoli where the gas exchange is happening. So it's really important that you do this. And you hold it, but you don't bear down. You just allow yourself to open up and let the alveoli feel more gas exchange happening, more, and then try it with me. It'll make you feel much better, especially if you have shortness of breath. I have a CPAP machine. Sometimes I'm so in distress. This is what I have to do. for 10 or 15 minutes to adjust my oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in my body, because I know carbon dioxide is super high and oxygen levels got to come up. So you do this. Once again, I say again, inverse IE ratio. You make it the time that you inhale longer than the exhale. And you can do it when you're playing sports. If you're playing tennis, I used to do this before. Run around, try and run here. You go, don't do that, okay? Take a minute and go like this. You know who I see doing this? Novak Djokovic, the tennis player. I see him doing that. So I go, he gets a respiratory therapist on his team. And he also does metabolic, hyperbaric chamber. And my friend Robbie Ray asked about hyper, and I encourage you got questions. Listen, what's up, Sherry? Thank you. You know, you do what you can to survive, but there's a thing called truth, yeah? And that's one of the things I did want to kind of touch on today is what is truth. Like a lot of times people see me and they go, they cannot accept my truth of life. But they say it's in your mind and stuff. And there's a thing about the mind. Mind, every day is a battle of the mind. That is true. But you have to understand, there's absolutes in the world. And that's why you have to be realistic. If you jump off a building and expect to fly, just expect to die. Because you're going to hit the ground hard. Okay? If you take a medication like propofol, diprovan, doesn't matter what you believe, you're going to knock out. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And certain absolutes in life. If you put a gun against your head, you know what the result's going to be. Can't dodge a bullet at point blank range. So we have to accept our truths and then do the best that we can. So this is a little tool that I'm giving you, because this is literally what I use to keep myself going. And that's a normal, again, inspiratory, expiratory. Now, if you got questions about any medical stuff, just ask. I'm happy to answer. I should have been a doctor, yeah. I should have been. My recommendations letter said, I should have done that, but that's okay. I didn't want to be around all those germs anyway, so. Okay, so Robbie Ray asked about hyperbaric chamber. Hyperbaric chamber is used to increase oxygenation, yeah. So the way it works is, like let's say you are a person who has burn victim, skin graft, gangrene, even certain diabetic. That's why he sent this article to me about ischemic heart attacks. There's different kind of heart attacks now. There's one type of heart attack where the heart itself doesn't get enough blood. And that's a coronary artery problem, yeah? Yeah, what, more boring? Yeah, as a doctor, she said, I'm glad you're a musician, now a doctor. Yeah, what, Bombay. I'll get back to it. But it's important, because this is how I got there. I couldn't sing one song 15 years ago, yeah? 14 years ago. And I use all these principles that I learned as a respiratory therapist to compensate. But right now, the way the heart is stretched out, it's going down fast. So I don't have a whole lot of time to mess around. And again, that's why I'm so grateful of you guys. I just wanted to just talk about the hyperbaric and then get off the subject. Because it's boring yet, I guess, in a way, talking about those. But it can benefit some people. And what happens is, there's a thing in the blood. Yeah? And by the way, let's go back to cardiology for 1 second. As the heart beats, you saw how mine is so big. Yeah, as a normal heart beats, you have a thing called a stroke volume, amount of blood it pumps out, and an ejection fraction of how much percentage the blood goes out that comes into it. And that results in what they call cardiac output. So circulating throughout your body per minute at a state of rest, generally an adult person, has 4 to 5 liters a minute of blood going round and round and round in the body. Now, because my ejection fraction is almost 5 times less than normal, I get 5 times less cardiac output, 5 times less ejection fraction, 5 times less stroke volume. That's why you see me like this, sweating, and I'm at rest. Sometimes I'm laying in bed. That's how they classify severe. If you get symptoms on mild exertion, they call it stage 1. Yeah, moderate, same thing. moderate exertion. But when you start having symptoms at rest, lying down, that's severe. And that's what I got, stage 3, stage 4. It's not good. And I had that for a long, long time, but it's getting worse. Ejection fraction is 5 times less than normal. Instead of getting 5 liters of mean, I'm getting less than 1, okay? And that's why you see me struggling. And I can't do anything about it because I tried. And when you look at the metabolic testing, which I was going to get it, there's a lot of parts about that. Consumption of oxygen, consumption or production of carbon dioxide and all. There's this long equation, the weird equation. The only thing that I could take any stab at controlling a variable was exercise tolerance. So I try to make my body strong as possible to hold up the weak heart. And that was my approach. And just stay alive long enough to benefit from stem cells. And we're gonna take this trip next week. See, look, sweaty, yeah, pretty, yeah? Oh, sweaty. Take this trip next week. And you're gonna come with me to the Dominican Republic and I'm gonna become whole again. I really believe in this. And the the probability of side effect is below 1%. And the effectiveness potentially is tremendous. So the risk-benefit ratio is very high compared to other modalities that you could do that have very high death, mortality, side effect, adverse event ratios. And, you want to minimize that as much as possible. And so that's why I'm going for this. And I always have been keeping my eye on it. And again, thank you for your support with that. Quick word on the metabolic testing. Now, everybody has seen those things where they put on your finger. What's up, Lori? Lori, baby. Long time no see, girl. So Daniel. So you get these metabolic, SaO2 monitors they put on your finger and it says 98%, 90%. It can never be 100 unless you get extra oxygen because part of the blood goes to your heart. Anyway, not enough of that. But that's measuring red blood cells. Your blood also has plasma. It's the liquid part inside the blood that the red blood cells float in. Okay, now there's a secondary thing called PaO2, the partial pressure of arterial oxygen, O2. And that's dissolved oxygen inside the liquid. Yeah, that's something that monitor doesn't test for. It's just looking at red blood cells. So, Robbie Ray, to answer your question, how the hyperbaric works is as you increase the pressure, the molecule of oxygen gets smaller and smaller. I mean, it's already microscopic molecule, but it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. As a result of that, more of it can be pushed into the plasma. So normally maybe you have 100, maybe 100 PaO2, 120, yeah. By going in a hyperbaric chamber, you can pump that up to like 400 or 500. So being on room air oxygen only gets you so far. Just like when you get the bends, you get that nitrogen, just goes smaller and smaller and smaller. And a lot of it gets into your bloodstream. And then when you come up, boom, it creates these bubbles. And that's why people get the bends. That's why they started hyperbaric chamber. So if you have a condition where you require extra oxygen, and again, let's go to Novak Djokovic. That's what he does to recover from his tennis matches. So I'm convinced he has a respiratory therapist on his team because he does the two things I taught you today. Inverse inspiratory, expiratory breathing. Remember? Yeah, hold it longer. More gas exchange happening, more carbon dioxide. When you feel short of breath, anxious, or you feel tired, try it. Because as I mentioned, carbon dioxide has an effect like morphine. They call it a narcotic-like effect. And can make you pass out. Can make you like you're on morphine. So try it. Okay, next time you feel out of breath or you're like working out, don't do this. It's important to purse lip breathe too, because it keeps your airways open and prevents this air trapping that occurs. That's more of a physiologic thing. And I did want to talk a little bit about CPAP. We'll save that for another day because we're getting long-winded. Kuyo, how's it, bro? So once again, bro, thanks for all you guys' support and need your help. And then I got to talk about something else, one last thing. As I look at all the people out there that are supporting me, they're people like me, they're musicians, and you guys don't have a lot, but you give everything you got. And that's one thing about musicians that I think is so awesome. You know, people always ask you guys to do stuff for free, and you give your heart to people and give them an opportunity to experience something maybe they can't get themselves. But you don't really have a whole lot to share, but you're going to give the last bit you have. And that's the thing that I recognize, and it's so humbling to me. Is I get these friends out there, hi Marie, friends out there, and I know they don't have a lot. The struggling young musicians, and they popping me 20 and $50. And you know, that makes me feel like shame in a way, to be honest. But in other words, so humble that they would turn around and help me out, because most of these people I've just been there for as well throughout time. And I have a lot of, mahalo ba, I have a lot of plans for the future. I haven't talked about them yet. Let's just get through this. And I have a big thing I have planned I want to invite you all to later. You know, where we can celebrate together, life and our togetherness and everything. And thank you. You know, an event that I'm hopefully doing later this year. And that's big part of the future. And I want you to all be a part of that future with me, because it's wonderful. But it reminded me of this scripture, yeah? I'll just read it to you. I used to be a Bible teacher. I've kept that hidden for a long time. I like to do more sharing and inspiration. I think that's part of my calling. But, okay, Billy Ray Cyrus had a song, and it said, all gave some, what's up, Bonnie? But some gave all. Yeah. And I look around and I'm so humbled by everybody that has, it's honestly, what do you say? What do you say? Other than that, you want to do your best because people are putting their trust in you, their belief in you, you know, their love to you. And it reminded me of this scripture, yeah. And I like this one in Luke 21, 1 through 4, okay? And it was something that always stuck out to me, because I was always pretty much me, you know? And that's a lot of you guys too. It's called the widow's offering. I want to read it to you, okay? Okay, here's how it goes, yeah. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. You guys heard this before, yeah? Yeah, I know you did. He also saw a poor widow put 2 very small copper coins. Truly, I tell you, he said, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, yeah, about their abundance, but she gave out of her poverty, put all in that she had to live on. And you know what? I know that's a lot of you guys out there. You know, I know, because I know you, you know. And even one of my nephews, my wife's nephew in college, give $5. That's plenty. I know that's like probably like a percentage wise, like 50% of what he get. You know, seriously, I'm not joking. So all you guys out there, I really owe you a debt of gratitude. I thank you so much. And we need it right now. I wouldn't ask you. I was gonna just not even do anything. I told you. But if you guys get questions, yeah, feel free to ask. I love to answer medical questions. It's kind of boring, but I have a deep knowledge of certain subjects medically. And I hope you'll take this inspiratory-expiratory ratio. Yeah, try them now, okay? Next time you feel, try them right now. You can do them like 3 breaths and catch your breath. And don't bear down. Yeah. Next time I talk about CPAP. CPAP's good. Helps with gas exchange. Helps keep the airway open. And in my case, also adds a little bit of pressure to the heart, so it empties a little better and cause it to rest. So if you have CPAP machine, you make sure you use that thing too. It's called continuous partial airway pressure. That's the nerd stuff. Yeah. By the way, I was a pretty good student in respiratory. It was one of the, I think I had all A's. I don't know. I don't keep track. But anyway, God bless you guys. I don't know what else to say, but tomorrow I want to talk a little bit about faith. Huh? And this is St. Mary Ann, so I'll bus up. She's been around the world with me. There are holy relic, actually, that I treat like it's a, you know, business card. Anyway, hey, there's a guy, Eric, how's it? But anyway, thank you guys so much. This has been a real hour of need, and I do appreciate it. And I especially appreciate all the broke guys out there. I recognize, bro. Yeah, all the time we spend together. The widow's offering. That's the money that you need to live on. And the fact that you are sharing that with me means more to me than you can possibly imagine. And I'm Portuguese kind of. I don't know if you know Bobby Madero from Mauna Lua, but he told me one day we were on the phone, Sean, wow, you really Portuguese, eh? I lost for words. So thank you. We're gonna continue this trip together. And honestly, questions about medical stuff, please let me know. I think I'm gonna start a page and then put all these videos up, and a lot of them are gonna be what you call informative. Yeah, some of it's gonna be inspirational, and just being honest. Look at me right now. It was tough the last day or two. Swear to God, I woke up this morning. It's. But I found myself breathing a certain way. This is the point. Because I trained myself over the years as I was gasping for air to increase my respiratory rate and do it in such a way that it mimicked the inverse, what they call IE ratio, inspiratory expiratory ratio, that I taught you. And I do it automatically when I sleep. It's weird. I trained myself to do it. I will wake up and all the time, mind goes, wow, you're breathing funny. Yeah. That's how I'm staying alive. But old respiratory therapist tricks, they're kind of running out on me at this point. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for supporting. And I will have all this trip coming up next week. Again, I leave on Friday. We'll take you to the airport. We get to meet the doctor, take you on the Dominican Republic. And the stem cells has so much promise. It's so many areas, from treating things like diabetes and cancer and neurological conditions and heart disease, and even things like people that are having spinal injuries. But again, because there's no money in it, there's no money for the pharmaceutical industry, because this product comes right from your body. There's nothing to sell you, and they're curing disease. That's why we don't have approval in the United States. And that's why this whole thing happened in 2001 with the banning of stem cells, using the embryonic stem cells as a reason, even though we don't get those stem cells from aborted fetuses. Yeah. So anyway, more later, guys. Gino, oh, there's Gino. Hi, Gino, look, what's up? So anyway, a lot of information here. This was more science talk. I love talking about science. And I really felt important to do that so that you know how I survived 15 years with this. And life prepared me for this. If I wasn't a respiratory therapist and I didn't have the knowledge in the pharmaceutical, I would be dead 15 years ago, guaranteed. I would have been in the back of an ambulance 3-4 weeks ago, guaranteed. Me doing what I'm doing now is ridiculous. It's stupid at this point. I'm just trying to stay out of the hospital because I think they're going to kill me if I go in there. So anyway, off and onward to new and better things, you guys. I have a lot of faith. You guys have given me a hope, and we're going to do this. And we're going to get, I'll be one of the first guys that gets stem cell, and we'll open the door for everybody else. Yeah, because we all need it. Yeah, we're all going to get healthier together. Yeah, and we're going to live one good life together, and we're going to be with Ohana. Yeah. Okay. Love you guys. Mwah. Okay. This is why I do this. Aloha oe until we meet again. Okay. Good, bad, ugly, otherwise. Mwah. Aloha. Okay. Bye, guys. Okay. And thank you. Oh yeah. How you turn this off?